teams have turned it around as we start the second quarter. The Raiders first down at the Jets' 48-yard line. 7-3 New York. Gannon, quick drop and quick pass, and that's complete close to the 40-yard line. Number 80, Jerry Rice.
Well, the Raiders, so many formations, so much movement, and Rich Gannon, this time he could have picked from about 3 or 4 receivers who were open down the field. And Jerry Rice has come in, learned a new system, and does a good job. Watch him as he goes down the field. Nobody there, sit down, Rich Gannon will find you.
Nice little 7-yard pickup, 2nd and 3. And Garner bursting through on the left side for a first down, and Victor Green makes the stop. We were just talking a moment ago about the pressures on the Raiders to try to run the football, but Rich Gannon started the day against Denver last week with 18 completions and 18 throws, and the question is, if you do it so well, why do you have to try to run the ball more?
Yeah, that's why I say, Greg, I don't know. I don't think you take the football out of the hands of a quarterback who's played so well and is throwing the football extremely well. John Gruden knows that, so they're not going to just line up and try to run it down the Jets' throat all day. They're going to keep doing this.
Gannon pump fakes, pulls it down, throws to the far side, and that's complete to Jerry Porter. And Porter inside the Jet 20 to about the 18-yard line, and that's good for another Oakland first down.
I've seen so many of these plays. This is why you don't take it out of the quarterback's hands. They were trying to go for the big score. He looks outside, there's double moves. The Jets are not fooled by it. He keeps looking, good protection. Then he finds what you would call the outlet receiver.
Something there, too, to watch. John Gruden was saying it's been a big beacon whenever Tyrone Wheatley was in the ball game, that everybody expected the Raiders to run the football. They threw it with Wheatley in the backfield there.
Good call, Greg. That's exactly right. That's one of the reasons why he can't get Tyrone into the game.
The pitch to Garner. Garner turns the corner inside the 10 and out of bounds at the 9-yard line. Damian Robinson knocked him out of bounds, but not before. It appears to be another first down. It'll be 1st and goal.
Well, when you watch football in the league this year, you see more and more special plays. I call this a special play. What you do is you take advantage of a defense or a player who's over pursuing or working too hard, and that time that allows Charlie Garner to get out to the outside.
We're going to have a measurement on the near side of the field as you look at Charlie Garner's numbers.
Now, also, we talk about the Raiders trying to run the football and all that. John Gruden, of course, I brought the question up to him Friday, and immediately gave me that look that he gives a lot of people, and he says, I'm so sick of answering this question. He goes, I went to the supermarket the other night. In the supermarket, and some boy walks up to me and says, Coach, you need to run the ball more. He didn't tell us his answer to the young boy.
No, he didn't, did he?
But look, you look at the rushing yards for the Raiders, but when you watch this Raider team play, they move the ball, and even Herm Edwards agreed yesterday, they execute as many or more plays than anybody in the league on offense correctly. The problem is they're like the Jets. Nobody's taking that 10 or 15-yard throw and making it a 30 or 40-yard run after the catch.
That dive came up just inches short of a first down, so it is 2nd and inches. Gannon going to give it to Garner. Garner has a first down to about the 5, just inside the 5, and now it'll be 1st and goal for the Raiders.
Now let's see. Once they get inside the 5-yard line, I think that means Charlie Garner's got to come out, right? You know, he complains about that. I do the work down the field, and then they put in, you know, the bigger backs to run in the end once we get inside the 5-yard line.
Well, Wheatley and Crockett stay on the sideline. Garner is in the backfield.
It makes me think that it could be a pass.
Tim Brown in motion. Garner gets the handoff, and Garner to about the 3. Shane Burton made the stop, and it'll be 2nd and goal. And here comes Tyrone Wheatley.
Well, if you're changing up, just because Charlie Garner stayed in the game, it made me think pass. The Jets were not fooled, so they do the opposite this time. Do you bring in Wheatley and fake it to him and throw it?
The Raiders have not had a rushing touchdown in the last 3 games.
deception there. That's just a big, solid offensive line with the big running back behind him.
And, you know, John Gruden was happy to tick off the problems that the Raiders have had on that offensive line this year when you point to the lack of a running game.
A lot of injuries up front, a lot of substitution because some linemen are out, but still they do a terrific job. And Tyrone Wheatley, fresh legs, takes it in for the touchdown.
Dalaliso's kick off the upright and no good. So the substitute for Sebastian Janikowski fails to convert the extra point. Oakland's lead is 2 at 9-7.
I know we talked about the Raiders' rush defense coming in, but the Jets' rush defense giving up 136 yards, a game coming in, and maybe John Gruden said, we can run on these guys.
Well, it's logical, isn't it? If you know, when you look at a stat like that and you've got a big power back like Tyrone, I love watching Tyrone Wheatley at work. I mean, it's just a super run from him, and you know, he's not getting an awful lot of help there from the line, but getting in and doing just enough. We see another angle on it. Now, we've had an email in from Mark Lawless of Dublin, who's a really unlucky guy because he had tickets for the original game on you know, week 2 but didn't get it, but makes the point that a lot of offensive linemen are missing for the Raiders. But on the other hand, at this stage of the season, every team's got injuries. You know, you can't really make that point.
There's Raider place kicker Sebastian Janikowski. Spent part of this week in the hospital nursing the case of cellulitis in his left foot. John Gruden told us it looked pretty bad. It was swollen, pink and raw.
John Gruden's still trying to figure out what cellulitis is.
Dalariso's kick picked up by Lamont Jordan, and Jordan to the 30, 35, and out to the 40, and another terrific special teams return by the New York Jets of 21 yards. Let's go down to Armin.
Greg, interestingly enough, I spoke to Sebastian before the game, and he told me, quote unquote, I am fine and I'm ready to kick. And in fact, he had worked out before the game and felt great, but he also told me he was not supposed to talk about it, but he could have been activated for this game if the Raiders had chosen to do so. Back to you.
Well, it'll make some people happy.
Basically, Armin just turned him out, didn't he? Testaverde and the Jets go to work at the 40-yard line, and Vinny to throw. Down the seam, and oh, what a catch by Wayne Cribbett!
That might be the best catch I've seen all year in the games I've done. When it went out of Vinny Testaverde's hands, pressure on him, he knows he has to get rid of it quick, knocks it back to himself, left hand to his right hand. What a play by Wayne Cribbett.
25-yard pickup and a first down for the Jets. And the more Vinny Testaverde completes passes, maybe the better the feeling is for the Jets and their fans after the controversy of the week gone by involving Testaverde and offensive coordinator Paul Hackett. On first down, Testaverde to throw. Over the middle. Incomplete, intended for Cribbett. Testaverde's first incomplete pass of the day, and we check with Jim Nantz in New York.
And it's still scoreless in Seattle, but Trent Dilfer has just been intercepted at the 7-yard line of the Chiefs going in. So a scoring opportunity spurned by the Hawks. It's now Kansas City ball, 2nd and 7 on their own 15-yard line. Nail-biting stuff in Washington State.
Well, you saw Trent Dilfer's reaction. It must have been a touchdown, wide open. Doesn't get it because of the deflection.
2nd and 10. Little screen for Martin. Martin looking for running room and gets to the 30-yard line. Rod Coleman makes a stop, and now what's happening with the Miami Dolphins? Back to Jim Nantz.
There's been a score in another game. Don't forget that you can be bang up to date with the latest scores with our interactive service. Simply press the red button on your handset, select NFL Active.
Boy, sometimes at crunch time, big plays and points on the scoreboard are tough to come by, aren't they? 5 wide receivers for the Jets on 3rd and 5. Movement up front. Let's see where the officials lay the blame.
Prior to the snap, false start, head bob of the quarterback, number 16. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
3rd and 10. Testaverde trying to draw the defense off. Did a little too much, says referee Bill Levy.
Well, you don't see it called too often. Let's watch Vinny Testaverde. Whoa, boy.
I saw no head bob there. A little shoulder shrug, maybe.
A little tight with the calls today. That is a Vinny Testaverde. Look at his stats there, but that's a big play for the Jets. 3rd and 5 against 3rd and 10.
Four-man rush. Testaverde starting to run out of time and then throws to the far side. Incomplete. Intended for Lavernius Coles, who was near the first down marker, but he couldn't hold on.
Pressure on the quarterback by Holland.
Couple things you see is when the Raiders, I told you they do have excellent cover people down the field, but the size of their defensive line is making the Jets, the offensive linemen, go backwards faster than I've seen them go back this year, and it's causing Testaverde a few problems.
Raiders doing a pretty good job on the front four, considering Darrell Russell is gone for a year. Tupa aiming for the corner. And a fair catch call for and made at the 15-yard line by Tim Brown. 20-yard punt, no return. Raiders go on the offensive right after this.
A reminder, if you're watching on Sky Digital, you can access the Sky Active menu at any time simply by pressing the red button on your remote control. It's time to get back to our game. The Oakland Raiders are controlling it, but let's see if they continue.
Welcome back. 9:01 to play here in the first half. As you see the numbers on Rich Gannon, the number of pass attempts, and maybe that's what happens when you add a Jerry Rice to your offensive firepower. Here's attempt number 520 to the far side, and that's complete and out of bounds for Charlie Garner. At the 21-yard line, a 7-yard gain, and it's 2nd and 3.
Boy, you hear that every time we do a Raiders game. The opposing coach, Charlie Garner's name always comes up because he is a pretty good runner with the football, but I think he's more dangerous coming out of the backfield as a pass receiver, and you saw the terrific catch on the last play.
Charlie Garner, 3 catches for 34 yards. This time on the ground, Garner busts through the right side, out across the 30 to the 33-yard line, and a first down. What's happening with those Miami Dolphins? Once again, Jim Nance in New York.
Well, the St. Louis Rams are romping away as we expected against Atlanta. Kurt Warner to Ernie Conwell. They haven't kicked the extra point yet, but it should be 17-3. A win for St. Louis, remember, and they will make sure of the #1 seeding in the NFC. Wilkins has now kicked the extra point. 17-3 St. Louis over Atlanta.
Coming up on 8 minutes to play in the first half. And you see that improvement in the Raider running game after a season low, 51 rushing yards against Denver a week ago. And they'll go on the ground again. And Tyrone Wheatley to the 37, maybe the 38-yard line.
Well, when you want to have a successful offense, a lot of people have to do a lot of dirty work. Watch the fullback, number 40, John Ritchie. Goes to the outside, takes down Mo Lewis, and lets Tyrone Wheatley get up in there for a few extra yards. And the play before, John Ritchie went head-on with James Ferrier, knocked him out of the way, and let Charlie Garner get some extra yards too. So Ritchie, he says, I know my role. I get in the huddle. I stand there with the Hall of Famers, Tim Brown and Jerry Rice. I know I'm a blocker, and he does it very well.
Gannon to throw. Far side of the field and comes up short of his intended receiver, the tight end Roland Williams.
Well, that football, it was either hit or slipped out of his hand. I could not tell.
Well, it's, we're keeping an eye on Gannon and we're keeping an eye on Gruden, and it's a little early for them to start getting after each other.
I think it just, what happened is that he thought Lincoln Kennedy was going to run into him, so he tried to shorten up his motion real quick and throw it, and he just couldn't get enough power on the football.
Gannon now 8 out of 10 for 91 yards. Randy Jordan alone back behind Gannon here, a 3rd and 5. Over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Jerry Rice. Marcus Coleman closed on the football.
Wow, the Raiders felt like last week they had some plays where there should have been some pass interference called. Jerry Rice to the top of the screen. Watch number 42. Contact before the football got there. But it happens it happens so fast and it's so close that I think sometimes it's hard for the official to really see that it is a penalty.
Santana Moss is deep for this kick from Leckler. And Moss from his own 5 to the 20. And almost broke through at the 25-yard line. Travian Smith made the tackle. 58-yard punt and a 22-yard return. Jets ball when we come back.
On our email account, we have one from Simon Wooten talking about Steve Spurrier and his opportunities now that he's left the University of Florida and coming into the NFL. You have Tampa Bay, you have Washington, teams that are looking at him. It'll be interesting to see where he comes up. Nothing right now, though.
He'll write his own ticket, that is absolutely for sure. David Evans takes me to task. He's a fellow Steelers fan. He says, shame on you, I thought you were a Steelers fan. I know our past year has been a little suspect, but they've been playing all the player contenders on their schedule this year, and they've been playing them pretty well. Fair point, David. I'm just, being a Southampton fan, I always sort of fear the worst, I guess. Jim Rockford from Humberside says, what about those New England Patriots? What indeed, Jim? I've been going on about them for the last few weeks. Andrew Reynolds, 15 today from Grimsby. Congratulations, Andrew. Reckons the 49ers are going to do it. I've been saying that all year as well. Are the Jets really a serious playoff team? Asks Andrew Routledge. They've looked good, only to stumble and have a bad run in the past 2 seasons. Absolutely right. Let's see what they can do here.
7, Curtis Martin. Martin spinning across the 30, across the 35, and very close to a New York first down.
You know, I like that better. I like it when the Jets just line up and run right at the Raiders, because every time they've tried to get Curtis Martin outside, the Raiders' speed in their pursuit is beating the New York Jets. But that time, Paul Hackett, the field's a little slippery. Curtis Martin not making those sharp cuts, go right at him. And remember, Darrell Russell, pretty big fella, is not in there this week.
Although Rod Coleman has filled in admirably so far here this afternoon.
So far, he's playing well.
2nd and 1. Martin again. Martin, right side, first down and more across the 45 and out to the 50-yard line. 14 yards. What's happening with Kansas City, Seattle? Once again, Jim Nance.
Not Jim Nance, but I can still tell you, Seattle Seahawks are on top. Trent Dilfer getting his 2nd straight start, 12 yards to Darrell Jackson. That one with 4:41 left to go in the first half. Remember, a Seattle win and a New York Jets loss. The Seahawks are in the playoffs.
On Curtis Martin. We say it every week. Trent Dilfer continues to just go out and do the job well. From midfield, first down.
Oh, what a good job by Wayne Corbett.
Pass out here to Anderson. Anderson cuts it back inside to the 46-yard line. A pickup of about 4. It'll be 2nd and 6.
Wayne Corbett that time was coming across in motion. He saw that the running back moved, so he stopped for that 1 second, let everybody reset, comes out. Instead of the Jets having a 1st and a 15, they have 2nd and 6. Because the quarterback, he can't see behind him. He does not know that Curtis Martin has moved.
You told me quarterbacks have eyes in the backs of their heads. Martin following Anderson around the right side, dragged down just inside the 45-yard line by Greg Beekert.
You know, so far the Jets not getting much done to the outside when they run the football. Greg Beekert coming from the inside, good pursuit angle, and makes the tackle. And, you know, we talked to Kevin Mawae, the center for the New York Jets, and he made a big point of the fact that Darrell Russell was not going to be in there. He thought Darrell Russell inside on that defensive line is a very disruptive force. Him being out, they should run it up inside.
3rd and 5. Testaverde steps up, throws, tipped and incomplete. Intended for Santana Moss.
Well,
this is just Vinny Testaverde. As he steps up, he loses control. Oh, at the last second, that's what happens. At the last second, he's thrown down the field, tries to change his thought process. That's why he was off target.
So Tim Brown back around his own 10-yard line for the kick from Tom Tupa. High floater, fair catch called for and made by Brown at his own 12-yard line. We have 4:12 to play in the first half.
We'll be bringing you the entire first day of Wild Card Weekend exclusively live on Sky Sports Extra. Join us at 9:30 p.m. starting this Saturday.
4 minutes, 12 seconds to play in the first half here in Oakland. The Raiders with a 9-7 lead on the New York Jets, and Gannon and company go back to work from their own 12-yard line. It'll be Charlie Garner and 4 wide receivers. Gannon with the screen for Garner, and Garner is down at his own 9-yard line. James Reed crashing the play for a loss of 3.
James Reed with Mo Lewis, number 57. He just ruined it all. Charlie Garner just happened to, at the last second, make a good move to get out of the way, or he gets steamrolled. And you know, again, what did John Gruden say? Hey, you got number 57. He can do it all. And Mo Lewis is he is absolutely a quiet star in the league. Doesn't speak a lot, doesn't get the publicity he deserves, but he is a tremendous player on the field.
2nd and 13, get to Garner, and Garner across the 10. You know, Gannon also was a newsmaker this week, saying a few things after the loss at Denver. And when we talked to him on Friday, he said, well, you know, I've been around this league for 15 years, and I'm entitled to say what I think every once in a while.
Yeah, that's right. Occasionally he says, I'm allowed to speak up, and he didn't like some of the... What bothers Rich Gannon, when players make mistakes on the field that he thinks they should not make, because if they're paying attention in meetings and in practice, they'd be smarter in the field. So that's what really bothers him most about some of the mistakes.
3rd and 10. Gannon has it batted at the line, and it falls incomplete.
But you know, Greg, we sit up here and, you know, you think about the game, and just like you say, well, last week the Raiders couldn't run the ball and they didn't commit to it. Well, the Denver Broncos had 9 people up there to stop the run. They had to throw it. And the same thing goes for this New York Jets defense. When you talk about it, the statistics are not very good, but those statistics lie because the last 9 weeks, they have been pretty good on defense, and we're seeing it today, too.
Jets looking for a big return here from Santana Moss. Blocked! The Jets pick it up and score the touchdown.
We need some big plays. First is Lavernius Coles, who gets the touchdown on a screen play, and that time Jason Glenn, a backup linebacker, recovers the block punt for a touchdown. Chris Hayes, number 30, the special team star of the New York Jets, gets the block, and Jason Glenn, the brother to Aaron Glenn, makes the recovery for a touchdown.
Defense has scored some big touchdowns for the Jets this year. Mo Lewis returned a fumble for a touchdown, as did John Abraham. There have been a couple of interception returns, and now the blocked punt, the 4-yard return by the rookie Jason Glenn, and the New York Jets celebrate on the sideline. They've taken the lead 14-9.
That means both Glenn brothers have scored touchdowns, Jason and Aaron, and they come up with the play, but that has been New York all season, creating the turnover.
Hasn't it just? Somebody must have told them about the scoreline in Seattle, which is still 7-0, but yeah, they've lived by the turnover, and once or twice they've died by the turnover as well. Chris Hayes was a real star, burst through there, and of course Jason Glenn is just Johnny on the spot. But they went into last week's game against Buffalo, the New York Jets, with just 15 giveaways, which is a phenomenally low number. Now, they had 3 last week against Buffalo in a bad overall display. The Raiders, in contrast, just 16 forced fumbles on defense. You know, the turnover margin, the ratio, is enormous between these two, so you always sensed that some kind of turnover like that was going to come in and be big.
You have a team like Oakland that we talked about a team meeting and the problems with Gannon this week. What type of effect will that have?
It's tough to say. I mean, you know, if they needed a wake-up call, they've certainly got one. I wouldn't have thought their heads are going to drop. If they do drop, John Gruden's got a real problem.
Hayes, he's coming. He gets the block of the punt. But if he doesn't, the second man through is also going to get the block. So the Jets definitely saw weakness in the protection of the Oakland Raiders and took advantage of it.
That second man through was Jamie Henderson, and you're right, he had about as good an angle as did Chris Hayes.
Special teams have been awesome so far for the New York Jets.
2 yards deep in the end zone, Terry Kirby runs it out to the 15. and doesn't reach the 20-yard line. He is down at about the 18 or 19-yard line. 21-yard return, and coming Tuesday, January the 15th, here on CBS. The creator of JAG brings you a new drama that dares to take you inside the Supreme Court. Joe Montaigne, James Garner star in First Monday. Don't miss the series premiere Tuesday, January the 15th, here on CBS.
You know, Greg, the way the Jets lost the game last week, and you think they're going to be down and all that, but Herman Edwards, such a positive guy, came in the week and says, man, every day is a good day. Everything is good in life, and he just tried to stress to his team the opportunities were all still in front of them, and don't get down because of what happened last week.
Gannon over the middle of Tim Brown, and Tim Brown out to about the 26-yard line. You know, we were talking about the things that Rich Gannon was saying this week, and one of the things he told us is he especially tries to communicate with the younger guys on the team because this is the time of the year that they tend to get tired, lose focus. He says some of them just want to go home.
Oh, it's a long year. That's right. They just want to go home and rest up.
That pass incomplete, intended for Garner over the middle.
And it is true, Greg. You know, the season, look, all these teams, both of these teams went to training camp in July. 4 preseason games. All that goes on during the regular season, it is physically and maybe even more mentally just taxing on everybody. And when you get late in the year, some guys are just like, wow, even though the team is winning, I just want it to end so I can go home and just relax for a while.
And what Gannon said is these younger players don't realize these opportunities don't come around as often as you think they might.
Might not ever do it again.
That pass tipped at the line and falls incomplete.
That was Steve Martin, number 91. But the Jets are very good at knocking down passes from the line of scrimmage. Shane Burton, one of the best in the league. This time, Steve Martin. Besides John Abraham, maybe not a really good front four for rushing the quarterback, but they make up for it by knocking down the passes.
So Santana Moss back for the punt now from Heckler. Heckler booms one high out of there. Santana Moss from the 20. Penalty marker is down as Moss goes down at about the 29-yard line. And there's a man illegally downfield. And you'd have to figure the Jets are going to ask the Raiders to kick this one over.
Well, the way they're returning kicks, I would.
Ineligible man downfield, number 55 on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty. Replay, 4th down.
First penalty of the day against the Raiders.
And this is the way, you know, again, we've talked about trying to get big plays for your football team, the special teams play, the block punt, the screen. But Herman Edwards says, and they know what can change this football team for the Jets, Santana Moss, when he gets his hands on it with open field and space, a hard man to tackle.
We've come to the 2-minute warning, so we'll take a break before the re-kick, and we'll be right back.
It's the 2-minute warning, so you know what that means. It's competition time. Since we're watching the Raiders tonight, what we like to know is, when did Raiders receiver Tim Brown win the Heisman Trophy? That's when did Raiders receiver Tim Brown win the Heisman Trophy? Was it A, 1987, B, 1989, or C, 1992? That's, was it A, 1987, B, 1989, or C, 1992? Send your answers in to arrive by Friday to NFL Competition, Sky Sports, Isleworth, Middlesex, TW75QD. If we pick you randomly as a weekly winner at the end of the season, you'll receive a new style Scottish Claymore's game shirt and also a sweatshirt of the NFL team of your choice, courtesy of NFLEurope.com. Raiders only have 9 points on the board. What's your take on their offense so far in the first half?
Well, you can see where the problems lie because, you know, things started off okay, those short, high percentage precision passes of Gannon's. But, I mean, they will only take you so far. And already the Jets have started adjusting to it. They're getting hands up at the line of scrimmage. They're blanketing those guys coming out of the backfield. I mean, I look at it and I go, Tyrone Wheatley is playing, so he can't be hurt. Why not have Tyrone Wheatley involved in this game more? Because if you've got him in the backfield, the Jets, as you've already said, they can't stop anybody on the ground. They've had a terrible season. But, I mean, it would make that Jets defense think, what's coming next? not only would it mean that they'd have to be honest about the run, it would set up the play-action pass, which Gannon does very effectively as well. But the Jets right now, they are reading this Oakland defense perfectly, and Oakland are playing right into their hands.
Okay, as we go back, the Jets will be receiving the punt. Score 14-9 in our game, and see if the Jets can put some more points on the board before the second half starts.
The music here, Phil?
I hate it.
You would.
Does that really, like, did my feelings come out there?
No.
How much I do not like the music here? Oh.
Leckler, line drive kick, and Moss drifts back to his 24. To the 35 and up to the 39-yard line. 55-yard kick and a 15-yard return, and now Testaverde with 7 out of 10 for 95 yards. And, you know, I think even the most casual observer would wonder how Testaverde and the offense would come out after the slight turmoil of the previous week.
Yeah, you know, there's a couple things. We talked to Vinny yesterday, and Kevin Mawae was in there, and of course the players inside the locker room had a lot of fun with it. They posted and put pictures up in Vinny Testaverde's locker with all the headlines. When they were on the field in the huddle, they go, "Vinny, is the play okay? You agree with this?" So the players, they know how to handle it. Of course, the coaches can too. I'll say the rest here in a second.
Testaverde to throw. That intercepted. Intercepted inside the 45-yard line by Torrey James. James to the 30, out of bounds just inside the Jet 25-yard line, and that changes the entire complexion of the final minute and a half here in the first half.
Boy, does it ever. It looked like to me from sitting here that Vinny Testaverde was just a little unsure. Watch as he throws the football. Just doesn't let it go, and it looks like there was pressure on him on his right arm. Tony Bryant near Testaverde. I think that altered the throw, and Torrey James makes the easy interception.
Torrey James with his 5th interception of the season.
Boy, talk about who's going to win the game, what's going to happen. We didn't factor in turnovers enough, and we didn't factor in special teams. And
Jets had all the momentum going their own way, and now Charlie Garner up the middle, inside the 20 to about the 18-yard line before Sean Ellis drags him down.
Now, you know, we did all this talking about game plans and that too, Greg, for the Oakland Raiders. I think the Raiders now have to go back to running the football a little because Rich Gannon not quite getting the time he wants. Players around him, the defensive line knocking balls down, so they got to reestablish their physical presence up front.
On 2nd and 5, Gannon to throw. Goes for the end zone, wide open, touchdown, Roland Williams. Yards on the play. Gannon to Williams. Williams' 3rd touchdown kick of the season.
Now you think, why aren't the Raiders going for 2 here with a 1-point lead? John Gruden says he doesn't even look at that until the 4th quarter comes around.
Daloiso missed the last one, makes this one. 57 seconds to play, and it's a 16-14 Raider lead.
Well, I could not tell what happened. It's a play-action fake, and nobody covers the tight end, Roland Williams. It's not a blitz by the New York Jets, so whoever had Roland Williams in coverage completely fooled. Doesn't run down the field with him, and good job by Rich Gannon going through his progression and finding Roland Williams wide open for the touchdown.
That would be what you would call a missed assignment in the secondary.
Well, it wasn't a blitz, it wasn't man-to-man, so somebody didn't drop back in the zone coverage to see the tight end. But Greg, going back to Rich Gannon was on the sidelines trying to get a timeout before the extra point, and John Gruden pulled him off the field, said, no, we want to kick it and get the 1 point.
Yeah, we had that discussion with John Gruden. He said, whatever happened to those little cards that told you when you should go for 1, when you should go for 2? And John said, I don't even deal with that until the 4th quarter.
Yeah, he goes, it's not that difficult. He goes, I can figure it out. But you're right. I do not put that into, my judgment doesn't come into that until the 4th quarter when he thinks it's important.
Santana Moss and Chad Morton are deep as Daloiso tees it up.
The kickoffs have been extremely short from Brad Daloiso today. In fact, the Jet returners on the 15-yard line.
Low, bouncing. And Morton from the 12. And is buried at the 19-yard line. And a penalty marker is down.
This game, you think emotion's not part of the outcome of football games. You can see it swing, and it just gives players a physical lift, and they make plays they weren't making before.
This one will go against the Jets and back them up even more. Vinny Testaverde's interception turned into that touchdown, and Vinny's had some costly interceptions. The 21st of October against the Rams. Jets trailed by 7 in the first half. Aeneas Williams intercepted and returned for a touchdown. Then on the 28th against Carolina, 9 seconds left in the first half, Doug Evans interception. Against the Saints, Jay Bellamy picked him off. And then last week against Buffalo, Phil Hansen, with the game in the balance, picked off the pass. He is 7 of 11 with a touchdown pass and an interception.
Now, you know, Greg, every interception and every quarterback in this league has thrown costly interceptions.
Sure. 52 seconds to play. The Jets have 90 yards and all 3 of their timeouts ahead of them. Penalty marker flies. Number 91, Regan Upshaw, was one of those across the line in a hurry.
And the Jets are backed up into this end zone where they're
outside defense. Number 91, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, I think the noise is the loudest and hardest for an offense to communicate and get off the line of scrimmage.
And if we are to believe the clock, I'm going to say that running play took 1 second. It seemed unlikely. They're going to take 2 more seconds off the clock. So the line of scrimmage is now the 15-yard line. Martin in motion as the Jets spread the field, throw it out to Martin, and it's incomplete off the fingertips. And it'll be 2nd and 5.
You know, Greg, just while we got a quick second, though, to finish up about the controversy with Vinny Testaverde, I think the thing that bothered me about what went on, you know, there's got to be protection between the players and the coach. In other words, you got to protect each other, I think, in situations like that. When you lose a game and it's a controversial ending, and that didn't happen, so do you think it hurts the feelings of the coaches when one of the players speaks out? Sure it does. You know, they put a lot of work and time into what they're doing, so players, as much as coaches, got to watch what they say.
Curtis Martin. And Martin out to the 20-yard line, and the clock continues to move. You know, you mentioned the quarterbacks have costly interceptions, and certainly any quarterback who throws the football, they're going to get them picked, and they're going to hurt at some time or another. Remember at the tail end of last season, the game against the Baltimore Ravens, Vinny threw picks against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, he threw a lot of great balls that day, too.
Yes, he did.
You know, the Baltimore Ravens were just so terrific on defense. They made a lot of offenses make mistakes.
And the Jets are going to let the clock wind down here as we're in the final 11 seconds of the first half. This game has gone back and forth on the scoreboard, and in terms of momentum, 3 lead changes, 2 of them in the last 3 minutes. And the first half winds down with the Raiders. Now timeout is called for by the Jets with 1 second to play.
Yeah, you saw Herman Edwards on the screen, just telling Vinny Testaverde, don't worry about it. Let's let the clock run out. Let's settle down and regroup and just come out in the second half. You got to be happy if you're Herman Edwards, not with the last turnover, but 16-14, the game is close.
He's such fun to talk to. Yesterday, he says, you know, here it is. The game is in front of you, and all you have to do is go play. Just go play.
Hey, he told his team a couple things. Have fun, play with energy. But he goes, have heart. And what he means there, have heart, just go out and play the game and show everybody that it really means a lot to you to play well and to win.
time runs down here in the first half. Let's go down to Armin.
Coach, a couple of explosive plays give you the lead and momentum, and then that turnover.
Yeah, and that's what kills you in these games. It's a tight ball game. You know, we do a good job of blocking a punt, and we turn around and they intercept the ball, and then we don't play the coverage quite right on the pass. So it's a tight ball game, but we're in the football game, and all we have to do now is don't turn the ball over and make some plays the second half.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Greg.
Well, stick with us, because after the break, we'll be bringing you our roundup of today's early games, including what happened when the Bears tried to wrap up the AFC Central against the Jags.